Blog Talk Radio.
Here.
Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, where abode both Peter and James and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James. These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women, and Mary the mother of Jesus, and with his brethren.
The upper room.
In the Christian tradition, based on Acts 1:13, the upper room was said to be the site of the Last Supper, i.e., the cenacle. But it was not the upper room found in Mark 14:15, and Luke 22:12 is the site of the Last Supper. However, the upper room in Zion, Acts 1:13, located on Mount Zion in the city of David, was the usual place where the apostles of Adonai Baruch stayed in Jerusalem. And according to the Rastafari Encyclopedia, based upon Acts 2:42, as it is written, and they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship and breaking of bread and in prayers. It was thus the first church of the Nazarene, our black master and savior, Jesus Christ, and said by many to be the first Christian church.
Psalm 94. O Lord God, to whom vengeance belongeth, O God, to whom vengeance belongeth, show thyself. Lift up thyself, thou judge of the earth, render a reward to the proud. Lord, how long shall the wicked triumph? How long shall they utter and speak hard things, and all the workers of iniquity boast themselves? They break in pieces thy people, O Lord, and afflict thine heritage. They slay the widow and the stranger, and murder the fatherless. Yet they say, the Lord shall not see, neither shall the God of Jacob regard it. Understand, ye brutish among the people, and ye fools, when will ye be wise? He that planted the ear, shall he not hear? He that formed the eye, shall he not see? He that chastiseth the heathen, shall not he correct? He that teacheth man knowledge, shall not he know? The Lord knoweth the thoughts of man, that they are vanity. Blessed is the man whom thou chastenest, O Lord, and teachest him out of thy law, that thou mayest give him rest from the days of adversity, until the pit be digged for the wicked. For the Lord will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. But judgment shall return unto righteousness, and all the upright in heart shall follow it. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the Lord had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. When I said, my foot slippeth, thy mercy, O Lord, held me up. In the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts delight my soul. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous, and condemn the innocent blood. But the Lord is my defense, and my God is the rock of my refuge. And he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, the Lord our God shall cut them off.
Give my weed, Rastafari. Got my weed, I have some sisters. Lift them up, my rock, God. Deny you sleep. Kings of kings, lords of lords, conquering lion, the tribe of Judah. Elect of God, mighty God, ever-living God, earth's rightful ruler. Let us be the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the ways of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. For I delight in the law of the Lord God, the latter high. In his laws do I meditate day and night. Therefore I must be like a tree, and planted by the rivers of water, and bring forth fruit in due season. I lack, also shall not wither, and whatever I do it shall prosper. The weak out are not so, oh no. They are like a draft which wind driveth way. Therefore no weak out shall stand in the judgment, nor no sin in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord God so high that he knoweth the ways of the righteous, and know that the ways of the weak out shall come and burn. But he will light and earthquake, brimstone and fire to kill from and break all the conceptions of my creation continually. And to let thy righteousness cover the earth as the waters cover the sea. Dear end from that I walk until this I walk. Beautiful eye, so high and so mighty.
Even the structure of the very solid thing. That is the ruler in your weather. Synchronicity in your triumph. The moment ends up in your city. Everything comes together. Upon attraction and indifference, it was in harmonious in city, and we will get away long day. The universe that love me equalize the faith. The ruler in your weather, the synchronicity in your triumph. Dance down in your city, how everything comes together. Get your grandmother Rastafari, no stand down. Solid equilibrium, see. The last guy Rastafari, other down. Live your physics and one down. Turn down to be Ethiopian royal kingdom. Let us be necessary in the ground. People to speak hygiene and structure upon the message speed. But the world we know are the rulers. Babylon is decadent splendor, high strong and frugal. These songs perfect and the sugar. To urban sea, to Lucifer, Bibles only happen in the present. Every woman's mitochondrial was from Ethiopia. Institutionalized, social favor and dominance. The dominant fall down. Birth rate decline and even slave. Present today. In truth, you really need immigration and conducive social acceptance. Both the sender and the receiver are only breed of physical and carbon. When you consume of world, Ethiopia. Central East African King version. God spoke that our world came down. There's no such thing as black sea. Back into the 61 musicality. Yeah, you see. Learn in your letter. The synchronicity in your triumph. Stand up in your sea. Everything comes together. Oh, learn your weather. Synchronicity in your triumph. Stand up in your sea. Get your grandma's and Rastafari now. The most solid equilibrium.
Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem a Sabbath day's journey. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room, where abode both Peter and James, and John and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon Zelotes.
From the upper room and beyond, what they beyond, distinguishing the light seeketh from the peon. Ron saying honestly upon us, knowledge that is beyond. Old heads have been told since the days of old, and I sit watching the story unfold. Yeshua gave us the code, gave us the name, kept the Maui Haile Selassie, the first will reign, to open of the book of the seven seals. It's time for the gathering. It's the latter, and no, not the Vatican. Christ in his kingly character, we on that again. I'ma keep speaking the scriptures until I'm out of wind. Built on the true foundation, there's no shaking. There's no need of you hating, stop hesitating. How many of you have been waiting? In the upper room, we meeting in the upper room of Zion.
These all continued with one accord in prayer and supplication with the women and Mary the mother of Jesus and with his brethren. And when they were come in, they went up into an upper room. They went up into an upper room.
The upper room. The upper room.
sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong. Shabbat Shem Ha'av W'Habein Ruach Kadosh. Glory be to the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Glory be. Glory be. We're gonna ride up here for this portion. And here. Shema Yisrael, Givel Yisrael, here for the second reading, the second parsha, here from the second book of Moshe, the Hebrew book that is called Exodus in English, here from the Sefer Shemot, here for parsha Waera, here for Torah portion, the 14th Rastafari sabbatical Torah portion reading and feeding. Here for this manna, 14th Torah portion, reading and feeding Hebrew. First words right here. Here we pick up with Exodus chapter 6, verse 2. Hebrew first words right here. Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer Elayo, Ani Hoa, Waera El Avraham, El Yitzhak, El Yaakov, El Shaddai, Ushmi Hoa, Lo No Daiti Lahem. And Elohim spake to Moses, to Moshe, and said to him, I, Yahweh, I, Jehovah, Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer Elayo, Ani Hoa, and I appeared. Waera, and I appeared. Waera el Avraham, to Abraham, el Yitzhak, to Isaac, with El Yaakov, and to Jacob. El Shaddai, by El Shaddai, by El, the true God, Shaddai, all sufficient supply, by El Shaddai, El Shaddai, Ushmi Yahuwah, and my name, Jehovah, Ushmi Yahweh, and my name, Jehovah. Lo, no da'iti lahem. By my name, Yahweh, Yod-Hey, Weh-Hey, but by my name, Jehovah, was I not known to them. Lo, no da'iti lahem. But by my name, Yod-Hey, Weh-Hey, I made I, not known to them. Lo, no da'iti lahem. Hebrew first words here for the 14th Rastafari sabbatical Torah portion, reading, feeding for this Shabbat manna. Waera, and I appeared. Hebrew first words right here. Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer Elayo, Ani Yehovah, Waera El Avraham, El Yitzhak, El Yaakov, El Shaddai, Ushmi Yehovah, Lo no da'eti lahem.
There was a great trembling, and the earth shook. The mountains settled with me by the presence of the Most High, who lives and reigns and rules. In the
ears, let him hear what the Most High, how I raise the heart says this day. Proclaiming for those who would listen. There's a sound in the air. I don't hear. He that has ears, let him hear. This day when our Father, I raise the heart says. Oh Lord.
Sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat.
My advice to all is to fulfill the Ten Commandments.
I love you. The one who will thunder and shadow the light. I love you.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, O children of Israel?
ሽመላ አገራችን ኢየሩሳሌም ደህና ሽመላ አገራችን ኢየሩሳሌም ደህና
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אדוני אחד. אדוני אחד. אדוני אחד.
Sabbatical study, this I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong, Shabbat strong, Shabbat strong, Shabbat strong. And here, Shema Yisrael, here for the Chamishi Aliyah, here for this Shabbat Wa'era, Sabbath, and I appeared, here picking up the second book of Moshe, the Hebrew book that is called in English Exodus, here from the Sefer Shemot, here from the book of the name, second book of Moshe, Exodus chapter 8, here at verse 7 for the Chamishi, here for the fifth Aliyah, the fifth up offering up, the fifth reading here for this Shabbat Wa'era, Sabbath Wa'era. Saru Hatsafardaima Mimeka, Umiabateka, Ume Evadeka, Ume Ameka, Rakabayora Tia Sha'arna, and the frogs shall depart from thee, and from thy houses, and from thy servants, and from thy people. They shall remain in the river only. Only they shall remain in the river. With Saru Hatzefardaima Mimeka, and the frogs Hatzefardaim shall depart from thee, the eye. With Saru Hatzefardaim Mimeka. Umiabateka, and from the eye houses, the eye bait, the eye houses, Umiabateka, Ume evadeka, and from thy servants, Ume evadeka, and from thy people, Ume ameka. They shall remain only. They shall remain in the river only. Rak bayor tia sha'arna. Rak bayor tisharna. Only they shall remain in the river. They shall remain in the river only. 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 The contest with Pharaoh, the third miracle, the second judgment, verse 6. And Aharon stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, and brought up frogs upon the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt. Then Pharaoh called for Moshe, where Aharon and Aaron, and said, entreat Yahweh that he may take away the frogs from me, and from me, my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice to Yahweh. And Moshe said to Pharaoh, glory over me, glory over I. When shall I entreat for thee, and for thy servants, and for Amika, thy people, to destroy the frogs from thee and from thy houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said, tomorrow. And he said, be it according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none like to Yahweh Eloheinu, he who be, our, I and I, Elohim. And the frogs shall depart from thee, and from thy houses, and from thy servants, and from Amika, thy people. They shall remain in the river only. The fourth miracle, verse 12. And Moshe with Aharon, Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moshe cried, shouted out to Yahweh because of the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. And Yahweh did according to the word of Moshe, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, and out of the fields. And they gathered them together upon heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart and hearkened not to them as Yahweh has said. The contest with Pharaoh, the fifth miracle, the third judgment, verse 16. And Yahweh said to Moshe, say to Aharon, stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt, Mitzrayim. And they did so. For Aharon stretched out his hand with his rod and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth life, but they could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beast, 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 and upon beast. Then the magicians said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of Elohim. Etzaba Elohim. This is the finger of Elohim. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened Shema'ad not to them, as Yahweh had said. The contest with Pharaoh, the fifth demand, verse 20. And Yahweh said to Moshe, rise up early, the boker in the morning, and stand lifnei Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the water, and say to him, thus like this saith Yahweh, let my people go, that they may serve me, that they may serve I. Else
If thou wilt not let me, my people, go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon Mecca, thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are. And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end thou mayest know that Hoa in the midst of the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth, the earth.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, O children of Israel?
Run from the charge. According to your work, you'll be paid. Can't run from the charge. What you think when you do and what you say? Can't run from the charge. No time to play. Can't run from the charge. Can't run. Can't hide. Want the others that you'll have them do what to you. Life is a cycle and I know it's true. Anything you do coming right back to you. Send me a call but the chosen of you. Make sure play a power with the righteous crew. Or never indulge in a false view. It's the idol stew that have the right crew. Healthy food keep you pure and you say a prayer every day just to keep you in line. Remember me tell you it's a judgment time. Open your eyes and stop being blind. Seek and you search, you surely will find. The last thing never rub with abundance and sign. Work hard for yours and I'll work for mine. Show some love and be kind. Stop from your crime. Tell you good and never ever get left behind. No, can't run from the charge. According to your work, you'll be paid. Can't run from the charge. What you think when you do and what you say? Can't run from the charge. No time to play. Can't run from the charge. Can't run. Can't hide. You don't see so it doesn't make sense to run. What you gonna do now? Your judgment come. You eat up your bread and give the youth them the crumb. You drink up your wine and have all the fun. Tell me who give the people the gun. Tell me who's gonna get the fire button. Whether from flames or it come from the sun. You would never know from when it's a come. Unlike a bomb, it have to bring bad fire. Yeah, escape, get caught in the wire. Wicked man, full time you expire. Sucking me blood like a damn vampire. No matter what I want, and this thing in higher. I will keep going higher. Higher like the one Jeremiah. Over there, Hezekiah, Nehemiah, Zechariah. Can't run from the charge. According to your work, you'll be paid. Can't run from the charge. What you think when you do and what you say? Can't run from the charge. No time to play. Can't run from the charge. Can't run. Can't hide. From the mountain walk here. Run the sea and the sea walk down ya. Run the rock and the rock walk us ya. Run the hills, but they can't hide ya. No matter where you run, it's to find ya. Nowhere to go, nowhere to shelter. That's where to follow your life a reminder. And a fat fighter get wins like a grinder. Do unto others as they'll have them do unto you. Life is a cycle and I know it's true. Anything you do comes right back to you. Many are called but the chosen of you. Make sure that you're power with the righteous too. And never indulge up in a box you. With the idol you that have the right root. Healthy food keep you pure and new. Judgment, we're on the fire, judgment. Judgment,
Yes, yes, yes. So this Torah reading and feeding. One of the things that often I think confuses ones reading the Exodus, the whole thing about the hardening of the heart. You know, they say, well, if Jah hardened his heart, then how was Pharaoh really responsible? I think some things get lost in translation, the meaning of hardening. What's the Hebrew? Let's get into the Hebrew right here for this Torah portion, this reading and feeding right here. Yes, Rastafari. Having a little bit of technological on the board right here. Some of the things not working right.
Sabbatical study. This I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat.
Yeah, yes, strong hand. So on the strong hand, what is meant by strong hand? The word strong used there. Also in connection with the hardening. It's the very same Hebrew word terminology, trying to bring up the audible right here for this sabbatical study, for this strong right here. Yes, let's see if we can bring this up. Yeah, the board is a little bit, I think the internet connection, recognizing technology.
Shalom. Let's make I get a firm and a flat-footed stance right here in this Torah portion here. We're in the second parsha, the second kufal of the kufale, of the portions of the divisions. We're in the second portion right here of the second book of Moshe, second book known as Exodus. Here in the Sefer Shemot, in the book of names. The book of names. Here we are at the Waera. Some enunciated as Vaera. Waera. And Era. Wa and Era. And Era. And I appeared. Waera. Together, Waera. And I appeared. Now we have the distinctive word. Distinctive word actually appears not in the first verse of the reading, but in the first word of the second verse. So here we pick up with Exodus chapter 6. And this chapter is superscribed, or the superscription here we have in the Schofield Study Bible is the answer of Jehovah, of Yahweh, of Jehovah. The answer of Yod-Heh, Weh-Heh, Yahweh, Weh-Heh, Yahweh, Yahweh, Jehovah, to Moshe, right, to Moshe's first prayer. Moses' first tefillah. Here's Moshe's first tefillah. Tefillah in the Hebrew, the tefillah, the prayer. So Moshe's first prayer. Here's his answer. He who be who he be, Baruch Hu, Baruch Hashem, answers Moshe's first prayer. Now this is a continuation that we have at the top of the chapter. It says, then Yahweh Jehovah said to Moshe, now see thou. Now shalt thou see, you shall see, seeing, what I will do to Paro, to the great On, the great house. You have Par, the great, the house. All right, when we learn to read the sign languages. So we have the Par, the Far On, all right, coming out of we have the Ethiopic sense of it, Far On, right, related to On and Heliopolis, the great house. As we say, the White House, or we say, the Vatican, when they refer to a building or a place, right? That particular seat of the authority or the power in the time or the dispensation. So here, looking at this time, right, and this dispensation, we have Hashem speaking to Moshe, Hashem, Yod-Heh, Weh-Heh, Yahweh, Yahweh, the he who be who he be, speaking to Moses, saying, now shalt thou see what I will do to Paro. Now that is actually the last reading, right? That was the last word of the last Torah portion reading, the first reading here for this second book of Moses, the second book known as Exodus. So we have this here, Yomer Yahweh il Moshe Ata Tireh. Now shalt thou see Tireh. Now, Ata Tireh Asher Eisa Lit Pharaoh. Now shalt I, speaking directly to Moses, see Ata. Now, Ata, Tireh, Asher, Isa, Isa. What I will do, Isa, Asher, Isa, le Pharaoh ki the yad chazaka, for by a yad, ki the yad chazaka, ki the yad chazaka, ki for the yad, by a hand, by a yad, ki the yad chazaka, by a chazaka, a strong hand. Yishalachem, for by a strong hand, Yishalachem, he shall let them go. Yishalachem, he shall shalach, aim on them. Yishalachem, the yad chazaka, and by a yad, the yad chazaka, by a yad chazaka, by a hand chazaka, chazak, be strong, or nita chazek, we say, right? Chazak, strong. To be strong by a strong hand, a firm hand, over yad chazaka, by a yad chazaka. Ne garshem, ye garshem me arzo, shall he drive them out of arzo, his arzo, me arzo, from his land. Ye garshem me arzo, shall he drive them out of his land. Now, by the word now, Elohim, the true good, the true God, the true Trinity, is the Hebrew Trinity, and the revelations that we have here, right, in these Torah portions here in the second book of Moses, in the Sefer Shemot. Here, he says, now shalt thou see. By the word now, Elohim hints to Moshe that as punishment, some say, right, for his criticism of Ha-Elohim, because Moshe is being, some might say, somewhat critical here. His criticism of Ha-Elohim's dealings with Ha'am, with the people, with Ha'am. He would see Yisrael delivered Mitzrayim, from Egypt, out of Egypt, from Mitzrayim, but would not witness their entry into the promised land, the land of the Yea and the Amen, of he who be, who he be. Some say this, the word Ata. Word Ata. They said Ata, right? Ata, Tireh, you will what? See, right? As he says furthermore, right? Go to Mount Nebo, right? And one would see, right? But not go in, but one would see. See, right? One would see, right? But not go in. Now the word Ata, right? Ata, not to be confused with Ata. Ata, you, speaking to you, male. Ata, Aleph, Ta, Ata, right? Ata, and then we have Ata, right? Ata, right? Ata, right? Ata, Tireh. Now you will see Ata. So by the word Ata, the word now, it points to the time when the plague, some say, would come upon Paro, the great house, and he would grant Yisrael's freeness, their freedom. He would grant them go, right? Go. Yishalchem, right? He will let them go. He will send them forward. Yishalchem. Ki v'yad chazaka, by a yad, the yad chazaka, v'yad chazaka, by a chazak hand. Now, it's interesting because the same wording here in the Hebrew is also connected with the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. The sense of he will like hold his heart, right? He will hold his heart. We had noticed this previous hitherto, where he says that he would not let him go. He's explaining to Moshe, what to expect, right? What to expect, and saying that he would not let them go, that he who be who he be would harden, right? Would harden Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let them go. And it's very, very interesting, right? It's very, very interesting in the connection of looking at the Hebrew. Now, the translators and the translations, right? No doubt doing their best, all things being considered. The translation really doesn't bring that particular nuance, right? That particular nuance out. Let's get to this verse right here, because it's very important to, to make this connection right here, especially as this is like for continuity purposes, as we are going into the second reading in the second book. So we're in the second reading in the second book, and it is Exodus 4:21, the first place mention of hardening Pharaoh's heart, hardening the great house's heart. Here we have Exodus 4:21, where it says, "And Hashem said to Moshe, and Jehovah said to Moses, when thou goest to return into Egypt, see," again, see, to do what? To see, right? To see that I do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. So let's turn right here to Exodus 4:21. In the connection with the final verse of the first Parsha, right? The first of the Kufal here in the second book of the Kufale, right? Of the divisions of the portions. So here, let's go to 4, where we at 4:21. 4:21, all right? And here get to the Hebrew of it. Wayomer Yahweh el Moshe Belektika Belakitika. In other words, when you goest back, Lakitika, Belakitika, when you goest back, why your Maria, Hawaii, El Moshe, Belakitika, when you goest back, La Shuv, like returning in a sense, turning around, returning, La Shuv, right? La Shuv, Mitzrayim. So here we have the sense of Mitzrayim. Into Mitzrayim, because not in the sense of the hay at the end, bringing out Mitzrayimah in that direction. It points to a directional sense. When you are returning, like in returning to Mitzrayim, Lashuv Mitzrayimah, he says, Re'ei, see, Re'ei, contracted, Re'ei, as a Reish, Aleph, Hey, Rei, call Moftim, right? The wonders, right? All the wonders, see, all the wonders, Asher, Samati, that I have put, Yadeka, in the eye male hand, speaking to Moshe. Asher Samti, Asher Samti Vyadika, that I have put in your hand, speaking to Moses. Wa Isitam, and doing them, Lifnei, in the presence or before, in the face, Lifnei Pharaoh, in the presence, in the face of Pharaoh, the great house. Wa ani chazek. And he says, and I, wa ani, and I, and as for I, he who be says, wa ani chazek, wa ani chazek, and I will harden, chazek, I will harden, right? I will be strong, or I will strengthen, I will harden. Wa'ani echazek eta libo, I will harden libo, I will harden his heart. Wa'ani echazek eta libo, I will harden his heart with lo and no and not yishalach et ha'am, and he will not let ha'am go. So here's a very interesting connection with this word, the chazak, looking at chazak, right? To be strong, to be strengthened. The yad, chazaka, he says, by a strong hand. This is a particular theme, right? It's a particular theme, chabarim. But now how this theme also, right, brings out underlying aspects, right, of the narrative, of the revelation, that are often either lost or maybe misplaced inadvertently, woe to those who intentionally misplace it, that's not my judgment, but he who be, who searcheth the hearts and the reins, Right? He who be, who searches the hearts and the reins. So we have wa'eni, chazek et libo. But I will harden his heart, or literally, and I. And as for I, chazek et libo. I will strengthen, I will harden. He says, I will strengthen his heart. I will harden his heart. What is the connection right here? All right, what's the connection right here to the hardening, right? The hardening of the heart. And then we have in Exodus chapter 7, right? And this now, that was from the first, right? That was from the Shabbat Shemot, the Parashat Shemot, right? Now we're in the Parashat, right? The Parasha Waera, the Parasha, right? The portion, and I appeared, and I was seeable. Waera. But he says to Moshe in 4:21, he says to see to it. Re. Right? See to it. It says see to it. Seen, sight, see to it that thou, the I, speaking directly to Moshe, do all, right? Do before Paro, all the wonders. All call ha mofatim, the mofet, ha mofatim, the wonders which I have put in thy hand, ashera samtia, the yadeka in your yad. So we also have the hand, the connection of the hand. Moshe's right hand, what has been put into Moshe. Moshe, what is in your hand? What has been put into your hand? Now it's interesting the reading rate here. It says, see that thou do before Pharaoh all the wonders which I have put in thy hand. See that thou do. Now the reading in the Hebrew, right, is a little bit interesting. Well, it's very interesting, of course, but just to bring out in the translation, it says, re, see, kol ha-mofatim asher samti v'yadeka wa sitam lifnei Pharaoh. So looking at the construction, the couplets here, right? The couplets. We try to, even bring out the couplets because the couplets really bring together the sense. That's why they have the commas and the diacritical marks, because the commas and the diacritical marks, they help with not just the pacing of reading, but also the contextualization of ideas, of the seed, of what's being said. So when we unpack it and when it grows. So Wayomer Yahweh El Moshe Be Laketika, this is the first part, and he said, and he said to Moshe, and he who he be said to Moshe, Wayomer Yahweh El Moshe, he said to Moses, right? He said to Moses, Be Laketika, when you goest lashuv, returning Mitzrayim to Egypt, re'eh, see, kol ha-mofatim, all the wonders, asher samati, that which I have put the yadeka in the I male hand, wa sitam, here we have wa sitam, and do them, wa sitam. So the command is, and do them. So the reading would be more like, see all the wonders that I have put in your hand and do them. Now the translators usually bring out, see that thou do all the wonders before Pharaoh. Then there's a comma, which I have put in thy hand. Right? Now it's kind of interesting right here, that particular reading, we see the wa, right? There's the wa, the vav, the wa, that separates the yadika, right? In your hand, see all the wonders that I have put in your hand and do them. Right, the direct bringing out of the Hebrew sense of it. Rei kol ha-mofatim asher samatiya v'yadeka wa esitam, and do them lifnei Pharaoh, and do them, right, and do them before Pharaoh. So the breakdown, the translation is different here. And do them, right, and do them. They kind of connect both parts, but in the Hebrew cadence of it, the sense is to Moshe. First to see, seen, re, see, seen, re. Very important word, re, see, re. Kol ha-moftim asher samti v'yadeka. Wa sitam lifnei Pharaoh. Wa hani echazek et libo. Lo yishalach et ha'am. In that, bringing out. Now, how does that connect here with this Torah portion? Just for continuity purposes, some of the first words right here, getting a firm and a flat-footed stance. As we mentioned, the hardening of the heart is a few times. We're going to do a count on it. How many times within this one book here, just scrolling through the hardening of the heart, right? In Exodus, right? In Exodus, we have, let's go through this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Then we counted 19 times. The Chabarim can follow up, right? Iron sharpened iron. You know what I mean? Is that 19 times? 19 times in Exodus concerning this particular, the Exodus narrative, we have this expression of he who be who he be. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hashem. The Holy One, blessed be he, blessed be the name, saying that he will harden, or concerning the hardening of the heart. What is the hardening of the heart? And also, why is the heart? Understanding the heart, we say, from the Hebraic, right? From the Hebraic perspective, because some things get lost in translation. Every culture may have their sense of ideas of things, you know, their culture, their religion, their history, so forth and so on, their mythos or mythology. So a lot of times ones will come from other cultures, right? And maybe superimpose, right, on the Hebrew sense, maybe some things that do bring out the Hebrew sense, and in other cases, things that do not. But here we have the benefit of study, right? So just a study to shew I and I selves approve. What we see right here as we pick up with this narrative here, the last words of the first reading from Exodus, right, which is the first part of chapter 6. And here for the second reading, right, second sabbatical, Shabbat Manna, right, the first we pick up with Exodus 6 and 2, right, which is a continuation, of course, from Exodus, right, 6 and 1. Now, 6 and 1, that ended the Shemot for the Parashat Shemot for the first portion. Here we are at the second portion. And Elohim spake to Moshe, and said to him, Ani Yehovah, Ani Yehovah, Ani Yehovah, I am Jehovah, Ani Yehovah, I be, he who be who he be. And I appeared, Wa'era. Now, what's significant about this revelation here is the significance of the Hebrew Trinity, HaShalush HaKadosh, and what is brought out, what is further built upon, right? This is the first revelation of the Hebrew Trinity that we have in the Hebrew scriptures, but it's a continuous building. Here we have a building upon it. We know that Moshe's first book is Bereshith, the Sefer Bereshith. Now, here in Moshe's second book, Moshe introduces himself. In other words, Moses, in a sense, he, somewhat obliquely, but Moses is introduced. Moses here is in the narrative, right? Here we have Moses in narrative. But now, how do we have Genesis from the same author? Was Moshe there? And here's the connection with the Metzhafe Kufale, with the book, the Ethiopic Book of Jubilees, is a very, very important connection for understanding and getting a good, firm, flat-footed, grounded, standing, right? The standing is important in the understanding, right? In the understanding, and coming to that overstanding, standing, right? How are we standing, right? So the details that have been revealed to Moshe concerning even the patriarchal age, according to the Metzhafe Kufale, according to the Book of Jubilees, has been communicated to Moshe, right, by HaMela'ach, right, HaMela'ach, by the angel, Melaki Yehovah, the angel of Jehovah, who, right, is speaking, right, and who is communicating. See when it says that when Moses returned to the Lord, right, and Moses is speaking, right, are we talking about spookism here? Obviously, we are not talking about spookism here. All right, not here, Shema Yisrael, give ear, because it's very clear, even in the burning bush, right, the burning Hasaneh. When we say the Hasaneh is the bush, so we get Sinai. Very, very interesting. The revelation, and more revelation. But Sinai, right, the bush, like the thorny place, right, here in this thorny place, the call of Moshe and the burning bush, the call in the thorny place makes Sinai consider even the revelation of the word, the principles in this realm of revelation, even in our lives and our liberties. Right? There's more even to testify on that. But here, just to get to the first principles, what be the first principles of the oracles, then we can also testify to that rhema word, right? Even in our lives of these first principles that even bring out and really bring within, right? Give us that inner standing, that inner revelation. We're like, yes, I really know what is written here, right? Because the principles are reflected in my life and my liberty, but it's in the thorny place that he gets the revelation, right? The thorny place in Exodus chapter 3, right? Exodus chapter 3. And it's very clear who is speaking, right? Who is speaking to him? It says very clearly at the beginning, it says, and the angel, the messenger, Melaki Yahuwah, the angel Jehovah, appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush, out of the midst of a sennet, hasenet, out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush, hasenet, the bush, it burned with fire, and hasenet, and the bush not consumed. In the Hebrew, the sense of consumed is eaten up. Like when it says that our God is a consuming fire, right? In Hebrews, we have that in Hebrew. Don't we have that revelation in Hebrews in the Brit Chadasha? In Brit Chadasha revelation, our God is a consuming, right? A consuming, a eating, a fire that eats, the sense of eating, right? Like a fire eats up, right? In that sense. So this is how they communicated these primary, we could say these primary elements of communication, of language, right? To eat up, right? If you see a fire, it burns something, right? Get a light, right? See a fire, it burns something. And as it burns something, right? What act, what universal act can we communicate to someone else, whether they saw it or they didn't see it, or while seeing it, that they can say yes, right? It's that it's being eaten, right? The fire is eating. Mm-hmm. So a consuming fire, but the bush, Hasanet, was not consumed. The bush was not consumed, but who is here? It is the Melak, right? Yod, hey, wah, hey, Yahweh, Yahweh, Jehovah, who appeared. So now that connection of the appearing, need to highlight that as well in Exodus chapter 3, right? And we're going to highlight this as well right here, even for our notes. And who appeared, right? In verse 2, and the angel, right? And the angel of Jehovah appeared to Moshe. Let's just bring this up right here in verse 2. And this brings us to Exodus chapter 3, right? In Exodus chapter 3, verse 2, right? So here we are at the Revi'i, right? The fourth Aliyah, right? In the fourth Aliyah, it says, Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of Ha-Elohim, the mountain of true good, the true God, even to Horeb, right? Horeb, the metaphysical significance of Horeb, right? Of Horeb. Read up, Chaverim, fellow disciples, brothers and sisters, on Horeb. Seek to bring that out, right? But just a word to the wise, make note of Horeb. Where is Horeb and why is Horeb significant? For the metaphysical application of what is going on here in Exodus chapter 3 with the call. Many are called, few are chosen. Moshe may not have been the first one that was called in that sense. Because many are called, right? I mean, the children of Israel, even this Torah portion, are called to give ear, right? Even Pharaoh, the Melech Mitzrayim is called upon to do and act in a certain way. Many people are called to do something, right? Sometimes everyone doesn't get the call. They miss the call. But here, we know that the call was picked up on, right? The call was picked up on. Because we have in verse 3, and Moshe said, I will now turn aside from what I'm doing. What was he doing? He was working. He was at work, right? Moshe was at work in that sense. He was working for his father-in-law. Mm-hmm. He's working for his father-in-law, right? Jethro, the priest of Midian, right? And we don't question his priesthood, that the priesthood of Midian, or the priesthood, we could say, of Jethro, we see that his priesthood being a Hebrew priesthood, right? Some of the Yehudi, some Jews, Orthodox, Reformists, and others might do all kind of somersaults around this plain fact, the Peshat fact, right? Because of maybe the ethnic connection, right, of who Jethro is, right? Who Jethro, right? He first is introduced to us as Reuel. Reuel. And Reuel is interesting because what does Reuel mean? Reu, what does Reuben? Reuben, what does Reuben name? The name of Reuben mean? Remember, this is the book of Shemot. So it's the names, right? You know, the hints, as it were, that the scripture gives us, right? You know, that the spirit of truth gives us through the study and the reading and the hearing and the reasoning on the scriptures. So we have Reuel, right? Reu means to see y'all, see you all. Just like we have Re'eh. We're speaking about, what was that, Exodus 4, was that 4:21? And 4:21, right? The first mention, right? Where we have the first mention of hardening the heart, right? Where Jehovah says, Wa'ani, right? Wa'ani chazek et libo, but I will harden. And for I'm going to harden, I'm going to strengthen. I'm going to encourage, in that sense, encourage his heart. You see, why I'm zooming in on this is because there's an alternative, right, reading and interpretation of this, right, as well as the previous ones that we just shared a little bit earlier concerning what does this verse, what does this verse mean, right? In 4:21, what does this verse mean about the hardening of the heart, right? Even when we come to the strong hand in Exodus 6:1, right? The final word, we could say, from the first parsha in the second book of Moshe, Shemot, right? Some say that Elohim, when he says now, right? When he says now, ata, tir'eh, and now, right? And now you shall see. And now you shall see. Some look at that as Elohim hinting to Moshe, that the punishment for his criticism of Elohim's dealing with Ha'am, because Moses it's interesting. It's very real and it's very interesting that he questions, right, Hashem's dealing, right? And he said, well, because of that, he would see, right, Tir'eh, he would see Yisrael delivered Mimitzrayim from Egypt, from Gibbet, right? But would not witness their entry, would not witness them going in to the land, to the Canaan, to the promised land. The word now, some say it points to the time when the plagues, so when he says Ata Tir'eh, that you're going to see, right, the plagues that would come upon Paro, right, the great house and his servants, and he would grant Yisrael freedom. But then we also see in this a very historical connection when we're able to rightly divide the word and look at the right archaeology and archaeological facts that prove, right, the verity and the truthfulness and the trueness of Moshe's, we could say, of the Hebrew Torah. Let's put it like that, the Hebrew Torah. A lot of things have gotten, mixed up and confused in translation and people's interpolations of the translation. So we have to get to the root, right, to the Hebrew, in other words, like to the crude oil, and refine this, right, and refine the reasoning for ourselves. But also give some ear to, okay, one says that it's because of Moshe's, that he says, Ata Tir'eh, because Moses criticized Elohim's dealing with the people, that he would witness, right, them being delivered, he would see that, but that he would not witness or not see them enter into the land. He would see the land, but he would not be a part of that which he would see, in a sense. In other words, that he would see, right, the land, but would not witness the people going into the land. Others say, well, this really, the now here is pointing to the time when he would do the plagues upon Paro, the plagues upon Pharaoh, the great house. We say that he strengthens, right, by the strong hand and the connection of the chazak, right, the chazak, both in biyad chazaka, right, by a strong hand, biyad chazaka, and also when he says, wa'ani chazek et libo, right, I will strengthen or harden, translator says harden, right, I will harden his heart. Now, is it the same word throughout the 19 verses? We're going to look into that next. This is the next question for the Chavarim, right? Because there's also another context to what can happen to the heart. But what is the heart, Hebraically speaking? A definition on that. The heart, some say the thought, the thinking, the feeling, the motion, the mind. They say that some say the heart is speaking of the mind, but the heart is very important to keep it heartical. In a sense, literally, it's almost like I will hold his heart in my hand. I'm going to hold his mind in my hand. It reminds us of remind. It reminds us of Revelation, the Chazon of Yohanan, right? The revelation of Johannes, right? Johannes Rai, where in John's gospel it says that Elohim puts it into their minds to fulfill his will. This is what we see right here. This is what we see, seen, sight, right? Arithmetically right here, that who is the Pharaoh, the Paro? See, here's the key. Who is the Paro of the Exodus? All right. Who is this particular Pharaoh? Who is this Pharaoh that went on 17 annual campaigns? And then in year 18, right, they stopped. And after year 18, there was no more campaigns against the Canaan, the Levant, Syria, or the Nubians, or any of the surrounding countries. We have the great Tutmos, right? Tutmos, Tahutmes, right? We have Tahutmes III. We have Tutmos III, right? What Tutmos III did, actually, in the big picture of things, it set up the victory for the Bnei Yisrael if they had gone forward like Rahab. Remember Rahab, what Rahab says? Rahab says during the time of the spies, right? Well, actually, it was the time of the spies under Joshua, right? Later on, she says, what happened to y'all 40 years ago? The people, the Canaanites and the other ites were like we say, shit and bricks. They were scared. They were scared out of their minds, out of their wits, right? Because they knew surely y'all were coming forward, and they had heard what Jehovah had done. Right? They became faithful, right? Even they crossed over. This is where the Hebrew connection has to do with the spiritual. They became crosses over, right? From what they were previously thinking, believing, so forth and so on, accepting as true when they had heard what Jehovah had done for the children of Israel. But Rahab, and no doubt many others want to know what happened to y'all. Nothing happened, because what he who be had done with the mind of that Pharaoh, the Pharaoh of the Exodus, Tahutmes III, Tahutmes. If we look at the glyphs, right, the Metunet, the glyphs and everything. Other people try to make a connection between, Moses, Moses, and Tutmos, Thutmoses. Well, there's some slight connection right there, right? There is a slight connection, but Moshe ends with a hey and not with a sheen or a seen or a samek. With an S sound. So we have Moshe, right? Meme, right? Sheen and hey. It's not meme, sheen, and sheen, or meme, sheen, and samek. In other words, it doesn't have an S at the end from the Hebrew perspective. So it's similar names. These are similar names having a meaning, right? In the Kham or the Kham, in the land of Kham, right? The Kham, and also having a meaning, right? Among the Shem, right? Or the Afro-Semitic people is where the coming together of this, because some words, they reflect from the earlier, from Noah and from Enoch and from the righteous patriarchs before the languages really got, confused even more so, right? The interpretations, what this sign, or the reinterpretations, right, of common, you could say everyday, you could say signs, or the signs in the language. So the names are similar, but it's what the Tutmos III would do with the 17 years that actually set the stage. If the children of Israel were faithful for as they say, an easy peasy, right, conquest of the land. Even in the time of Yehoshua, right, of Joshua, right, the son of Nun, right, and the Israelites, right, when they went into the land, there was great victories. And this also is recorded, right, in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt records these people that are referred to as the Apiru, the Habiru, the Hebrews, right, recording the victories they were having. Wow, ones like Akhenaten. See, this shows that Akhenaten is not Moshe. Akhenaten is not the giver or the creator of anything for us, as Hebrews, right? But what he was seeking to do was he was seeking to figure out what was this power, what was this strength. How could this particular cult, that's how the Egyptian, the Mitzrayim, viewed the Hebrews, how could this particular cult, right, overcome all of that ancient, the ancient priesthood, the ancient spiritual and metaphysical and all their understanding? This is why Akhenaten closed down shop on all of, you say of the Egyptian religions. He shut down the denominations. And this is known historically. He twiddled his thumbs in Amarna with the Aten, right? The Aten or the Aton, which is basically a committee or a Kemetic or a Mitzrayim, a Mitzri way, right, of referring to Adon, 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 the root in Adoni and Adonai, right? In the Egyptian, the Dalet is replaced by the Tav, the Te, right? Or the D is replaced by the T. So these are very basic, kind of basic things, right, that we can see today because having more access to certain archaeology and certain evidence, and as we begin to connect the dots, we see that within the Hebrew, all these tells are there. In the Hebrew, all these tells are there. Maybe previous translators and scholars and others, because they didn't have any of the archaeology discovered. Remember, a lot of these archaeologists from ancient Egypt, when they really started to get a better context of ancient Egypt, all these were made during the times, right? In his times, he shall shew who is the blessed and the only potentate, the only sovereign, right? King of kings, Lord of lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. That these things were discovered in the 1800s, right? All in the 1900s, right? In the 19th and 20th century, did the modern, the latter day times, the Gentiles in the world again get a better glimpse, right, into ancient Egypt and into the ancient world. As ancient Egypt, Mitzrayim is we say like a spokesperson, right? It's like a witness. It's like a mouthpiece, as Gerald Macy refers to, like a mouthpiece. It's a mouthpiece for the ancient world. Because like America, we like into like America or even like England to a degree, right? Any of these kind of big countries, right? The empire, right? The times of the Gentiles, where we get the main ruling indigenous, we could say the indigenous rulers, that so-called white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right? Part of that indigenous, we could say conspiracy or rule. And then we get over other peoples, right? Other peoples, right? And we know that the Europeans or the Anglo-American, the Anglo, British, Anglo-Europeans and the Anglo-Americans, they didn't see themselves. Even today, they don't really see themselves, though we could say they're white people or they're white ruled nation, so forth and so on, right? But they don't see themselves. They see themselves in a position distinct and apart. And thus we have the Brexit, just to point that out right there. If we start to really connect the dots of the news, right? Rasta news, right? And world views, that we start to really connect the dots more rightly and exactly, we can even see that there ain't nothing new under the sun. All right. So as we look at this particular Torah portion right here, just for connectivity purposes, and here speaking about the Chazak, right? The Chazak, when he says by a strong hand, right? By a strong hand. But before he says by a strong hand, in Exodus chapter 6, verse 1, we have Exodus chapter 4, verse 21, where he says that I will harden, translator, I will harden Chazak, right? I will harden, he says, his heart. But then when we get to Exodus chapter 7, right? Chapter 7, verse 3, we have the word right here, kasha, be harsh, severe, fierce, kasha, right? Be dense, severe, right? Then we get to verse 13 of chapter 7, right? When it says, and he hardened Pharaoh's heart, we have Chazak again, right? And then we get to verse 14, it says, Jehovah said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. And here we have the word kaved, from kabada. We have the kabada, the Ethiopic kabada, right? To be heavy, to be serious, to be of weight, to have gravity, right? Literally it's a heavy in the good sense, the kaved, right? Or kaved, in a good sense, in the figure, the mythos, the sign language sense of it is numerous. In a bad sense, it's something being severe, something being difficult, even on a certain level, something being stupid, something being very serious. So we like to use the word gravity because that's the true, meaning of gravity, weight, right? Weight is a heavy load, something being so great because of its weight, grievous, hard or hardened, being kaved, being heavy or too heavy or heavier, something laden, much, something being slow. Like when I think Moshe speaks about, he has a slow tongue. I'm zooming into that in the Hebrew. He has a heavy tongue, right? Because in some enunciations, one has to have a kind of a light tongue to enunciate the particular turns, right, of the sound, right, in order to reveal and bend light, as it were, on that level right there. But having a slow tongue, being sore, being thick, right, a thick tongue, like being heavy in that sense. So there's a good sense of heavy, and there is a negative sense. My point right here, our point here. Our point here is that the hardening of the heart, there are different words that are used, right? The chazak is used, right? The chazak is used, but then also we have the kabed, right? We have the kabed. And then we also have the kasha, right? There's the kasha. Now, how they appear in proportion and where, that is where the studies will bring that out more, right? But we have the sense of Pharaoh's heart being hardened. And when it says that Jehovah would do this, right? That he would do this, it uses a sense of chazak, right? Because the key is the yad chazaka, for by a strong hand. Key, the Hebrew key is for, because of for in that sense, for the yad by hand, chazaka, by a strong hand, yeshalachem, the yad chazaka, and by a yad chazaka, by a strong hand, shall he drive them out of his land. Yegarshem me also, chazaka, by a strong hand, by reason of my strong hand, by reason of a strong hand against Paro. He will send Yisrael out against their will. Or some say they will not have sufficient time to prepare food for the journey. Some think Rashi brings out that sense. We see that's by a strong hand that he who be was directing the affairs both here and there. That what he was doing with Tutmos III, right, and strengthening him and encouraging him, even encouraging him, right, in these mighty military campaigns that were done, get this, against Yisrael, right, against Yisrael's enemies. He was weakening the enemies. It's like looking at the foreign policy of America today and not looking at it as a neo-bondman or a neo-Slav or a neo-slave, but looking at it today and saying, chant, that is working out for John people moving forward when we come out of Babylon. What these pharaohs, new suit jackets and ties are doing right here across the pond, what the Anglo-Americans are doing in their geopolitical strategy is beneficial, right? Is beneficial for us and for John people. There's that aspect of it that often is missed, is not brought out. But this could be because the real connection of who is the pharaoh, right, or the great house, right, the great house of the Exodus, the Tutmos side, the 18th dynasty. But many ones have a later date, right, a 1250, right, or we'll tell you about a 1250 Exodus and a 1300 time of bondage. All of that is false. All of that is fraudulent. We have to rewind it to the proper time. And once we set it in its proper time and we start to study the Hebrew, right, the nuances within the Hebrew actually testifies, right, to the truth that even can assist a true Egyptologist or pro-black Kemetic scientist in really understanding the verity, right, and the reality, the objective reality, objectively speaking, right, and knowing that the scriptures is right and exact. And this is why we talk about, the Hebrew Egyptology, or studying it from that perspective, because we get to find these key links that we say, chant. People have been saying the Bible is saying this and that, but the Hebrew is saying this, and the right and accurate art and facts is saying this as well. But this cannot be known, right, from the astray way, but only can be shown from Yahweh, truth and light, 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 truth and light.
Yes. It's that same word there, harden. No way of bringing it out is to say encourage. He encouraged him. And then with the kabed, with the weight. Remember the Meshkinets? I think they call that the Hall of Judgment with Osiris. So the Almighty proves things even in one's own belief system. So you believe it this way? Well, he can prove it to you according to your own belief system that he's even over that. You remember with Anpu, the one they call Anubis? Sometimes he holds that weight, that balance of the Meskah, of the scale. He kind of holds it. Almost like putting your hand on the scale. That's one sense of, where it says he hardened his heart. But the plain sense
that he encouraged him. Go on, go on, go on. You know, like tell one, don't do this. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Okay, go on, fool. Go on, go on. And what's interesting is that we had Psalm 14 also speaking about, you know, he did not know Yahweh, Jehovah. So what does, you know, the Nabal? Nabal is the Hebrew for fool. But it's not fool in the sense of like somebody who is like stupid intellectually, but morally. He doesn't see that moral right. Remember the Israelites? One of the first things the Israelites wanted to do was to have a vacation. Remember, he says, give us 3 or so days off. We're going to go, you know, out and, you know, out of the land and going to worship Yahweh Eloheinu, the Elohim of the Hebrews. And he was like, y'all lazy. You want a day off? Why do they seek to go outside? Because they knew that their practices, like the way we practice our faith around the people who so-called whose land this is or who are running the system here, this is outside of their belief system. You know, to do this in their presence would be like, you know, would be like insulting your host or your guest. But let's go on a little vacation. That's how it began. It began initially not from them just saying, well, let's just completely go, but see whether we can get a day off to worship.
Well, I think
our
comparing,
way.
you know, China hosting, you know, dozens of heads of states compared to, you know, European regional bilateral relations is a fantastic example of how Europe has lost the game and has lost its upper hand in Africa. It's game over. Sorry, it's game over. Merkel essentially was in Africa. Yes, okay, to push manufacturing jobs and you know, maybe the odd investment project here and there, but that pales compared to what China does on a continental scale, not only in Africa, but in Eurasia, on the Eurasian landmass and all across the world.
You had that EU-Africa summit last
Merkel was in
December.
West Africa too. Yes, but Merkel, if you're talking about the Merkel and May visit specifically, Merkel is out there to curb immigration. That was her #1 priority, is how can we stop this hemorrhage of people coming into Europe and causing all this social tension in Germany, and how she can find ways of subcontracting responsibility for that into poorer countries like Greece and others in Turkey, in the Mediterranean. And May essentially is now reaching out because she's desperate for partners because of Brexit. So what we're really seeing is, you know, sort of individual European countries dealing with their specific national agenda, fine. Whereas China is working on a whole other scale. It has a vision for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. The entire planet is involved and has a role to play in that vision. It's not what Britain is offering Africa when it goes to Africa. That is not what Merkel is offering Africa when she goes to 3 countries. You know, China is a very different kind of player. It's a sign that we fully enter, you know, a China-centric world order. That does not mean that China will be the only sort of hegemonic power. It doesn't mean that the US has lost its hegemonic position. It means we're in a very critical time of hegemonic transition. We hopefully will move to a multi-power system where there'll be different centers of power. China and East Asia will certainly be a fundamental and crucial center of gravity. And that is, I think, essentially what this means.
Enemy's enemy, huh?
Sabbatical study. This I Rastafari sabbatical study for this Shabbat strong. Shabbat strong. Shabbat strong. Shabbat strong. Shabbat strong. Shabbat strong.
Yeah, so if you're not a bondman or bondwoman, if you're not a neo-Slav, then you can see, you know, the enemy's enemy.
Yeah. Coming up? Yeah, man.
Right there. No, the genius again. Shall overcome, must overcome. Must overcome. So be a pray to the overcome. Pray.
So my God, they hurt that time. From my friend that said them love me when me know them lie. Me pray for the gun the youth for time me know them cry. Babylon a shooting down and them a tell me a lie. Me pray, cause rice and flour for buy. Can't depend on cassava that hard for fry. Now living on the whole day that hard to try. You ask my mama eat bacon that hard to buy. So we shall overcome. Shall overcome, must overcome. We must overcome. Get the youth some money overcome. Me tired of this, the damn frustration. Me tired of Babylon and them damn molestation. Them know me occupation. Send a lock off the sound and lock me in no station. With music of our nation. All it alone people use go through them tribulation. Me a talk with the nation. Me no want no demonstration. No, we shall overcome. Shall overcome, must overcome. We must overcome. That will be done, I know. Me tired of this every day. Man of them, tired of the innocent. Blood a shed, tired of it. Jamaica run red. People can't sleep in them bed. Me tired of it. Poverty. We need solidarity. Me a talk to the majority. You hear me? You hear me clearly? Clearly. We must overcome. The overcome must overcome. We must overcome. Yeah. No, no, yeah. Overcome, my overcome, you're overcome. We shall overcome.
Every goal is side, you see. Because some of people going to spend the common sense. So all the time. Southside jungle firehouse. South is gardeners, spanglers.
Overcome, Spanish stone.
Clans are one another, you know.
Clans are one another. Mountain View, Magega Gully, every gully, Portland, St. Ann, St. Mary, the whole Jamaica, Jamaican. We
The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, 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 even in Jerusalem, 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 even in Jerusalem. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, even in Jerusalem. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah, 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 against. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. And the house of David shall be as God, 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 as the angel of the Lord before them, before them, before them, before them, before them, before them, before them. And the house of David shall be as God, shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. And the house of David shall be.
Some man a general,
Every get a youth, man a godfather, man a general. Them for know, man a general. God of peace, the angel of death. Every get a youth don't fret. From you have life, you have everything. Them couldn't stop my brain, can't take my life. I love me so, can't take my soul. I'm going back for everything and more. I'm unstoppable. Each and every day I'm great. Dead dark up on the earth, more of a steer. Me try for the decent man, but still, when they come for me, all I can see is getting killed. That is smooth, a vibe so never sound familiar. When I rise to the top, you know they want to kill you. Many want to live my life, but my life is realer. Never copy me, this thing words will kill you. Get what you feel. Nah, in life, no fear, no boy, I just so roll. Nah, in life, stop everything under control. Gotta feel, the angel of death. Every get a you don't fret. From you have life, you have everything. Them couldn't stop my brain, can't take my life. That love me so, can't take my soul. I'm going back for everything and more. I'm unstoppable. No, I got life, I don't know about tomorrow. Thank you, God, me no in a sorrow. In my mind, make use of my time, shooting like an arrow. Standing still, but my voice is a shadow. To the heart, the mind of another. All is fine. That's a make me time, so me couldn't feel it. No fear the grim reaper. God, that's how me keeper. No one that was against me shall prosper. You man, yeah. God of peace, even though I get every get a you don't break. When you have life, you have everything. Them couldn't stop my brain, can't take my life. God love me so, can't take my soul. I'm going back for everything I know. I'm unstoppable in my life. Remember that. Remember that. Keep on. Yeah. Make shit I feel righteousness must prevail.
Many are calling, no? Many are called but few are choosing. Many are called but few are choosing. I was called and I was choosing. It's funny, but it's true.
It is good that you are here to record this picture of me in my palace garden at Addis Ababa. People who see this throughout the world will realize that even in the 20th century, with faith, courage, and a just cause, David will still beat Goliath.
The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the inequities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men.
Here we have today's daily psalm. We have
Psalm 136. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks unto the God of gods, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endureth forever. To him who alone doeth great wonders, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that by wisdom made the heavens, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that stretched out the earth above the waters, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that made great lights, for his mercy endureth forever. The sun to rule by day, for his mercy endureth forever. The moon and stars to rule by night, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that smote Egypt in their firstborn, for his mercy endureth forever. And brought out Israel from among them, for his mercy endureth forever. With a strong hand and with a stretched out arm, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which divided the Red Sea into parts, for his mercy endureth forever, and made Israel to pass through the midst of it, for his mercy endureth forever. But overthrew Pharaoh and his host in the Red Sea, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which led his people through the wilderness, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which smote great kings, for his mercy endureth forever, and slew famous kings, for his mercy endureth forever. Sihon, king of the Amorites, for his mercy endureth forever. And Og, the king of Bashan, for his mercy endureth forever. And gave their land for an heritage, for his mercy endureth forever. Even an heritage unto Israel his servant, for his mercy endureth forever. Who remembered us in our lower state, for his mercy endureth forever. And hath redeemed us from our enemies, for his mercy endureth forever. Who giveth food to all flesh, for his mercy endureth forever. O give thanks unto the God of heaven, for his mercy endureth forever, 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 forever.
Great, great, this is the heart of the covenant. It is the heart of the covenant.
Here, today's Psalm Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow. Or some say Kof Lamed Vav, Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow. Psalm 136, Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow. Psalm CXXXVI, often referred to as the great Halal, Hallel, the great praise. Here, today's daily psalm, known as the Hallel Hagadol, the great Hallel. So the psalm, today's psalm, is more Kof Lamed Wow, in the ancient pointing, Kof Lamed Wow, hard in Hebrew, Kof Lamed Vav. Psalm 136 is often called Hallel HaGadol, the great Hallel, the great Elil, the Elilta, the great Elil, the great praise psalm. So here, in the intro to today's psalm, it refers us to the introduction to Psalm CXII, to Mizmor Kof Yod Gimel Kof Yud Gamel, to Psalm 113, Psalm CXII, the introduction here. And Psalm 113 Mizmor Kof Yod Gamel Kof Yud Gimel. Psalm 113 is named Praise God, or a Hallelujah. Praise Yah, he who be, Hallelujah song. And here it says that Psalm CXII to Psalm CXVII, Psalm 113 to Psalm 118 are named in the Talmud, the ancient teaching. The Talmud, there's many types of teaching, so the ancient teaching in Hebrew, opposite word, Talmud, like I said, Timharit, the teaching as the Hallel, the praise, the Elilta, the Elilta of Mitzrayim, the praise, the Hallel of Egypt, because of the mention of the Exodus at the opening of Psalm CXIV, Psalm 114, in contradistinction to the great Hallel, the Hallel HaGadol, the great Hallel, that is variously defined as the song of ascent. The song of ascent. We have the ascension songs that begin with Psalm 120, Psalm CXX, or more commonly, Psalm CXXXVI, Psalm 136. They are included in the Judaic liturgy, the Kaddish, the Kedasseh,
on the new moon, the Rosh Chodesh, the Pilgrim Festival, the Shalosh Regalim, and the Feast of Dedication, or the Chanukah. And there's the rubric that we have in the Seder, the prayer books as well, that can be referred to. And it says that probably they originated after the return from Babylon by the Black Jews in Babylon, the Black Yehudi, the Judahites, to celebrate, to celebrate that event. So here, in the intro to the hymn of praise, today's psalm is Mordechai, Lamed, Wow, Kof, Lamed, Vav, Kof, Lamed, Wow, Psalm 136, referring us to the introduction that we just read from Psalm 113. Now, like the previous Mizmor, psalm, chant, Isis, intonation, it is a compilation for liturgical use, for use in the Kaddish, for the use in the Kedasseh, in the liturgy, lauding, applauding, praising Ha-Elohim, true to the true God, as the controlling power of nature, of the nature of natures, Ha-Elohim, the true good, the true God, the Hebrew Trinity, the Holy Trinity, and also of Yisrael, Israel, the Sar, the Prince of El, of the Almighty's history, Ainai story. Now, the refrain is a refrain in today's psalm, the Hallel HaGadol. The refrain, or chorus line, as one would refer to, was sung by the choir of Halloween, the choir of the Levites, and for the congregation, the aggregation of Yisrael, of Rashavel. Here, today's psalm, opening first three verses of Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow. Hodu LaYahweh Kito LeOlam Chasdo. Hodu Al-Elohei Ha-Elohim Ki LeOlam Chasdo. Hodu Al-Adonai Ha-Adonim Ki LeOlam Chasdo. Oh, give thanks, y'all. Hodu. The imperative, the command, speaking to y'all, you all, to give thanks. Hodu, praise, give thanks. Hodu. Give Tawada, Toda, Hodu, LaYahweh, to he who be, Ki, because, Ki, Ki Tawab, Ki, for he is good. Hodu, LaYahweh, Ki, and here the refrain, Ki LeOlam Chasdo, for his mercy endureth forever, forever. Ki, because, for Ki LeOlam, forever, to the world, forever. Chasdo, his chesed, Chasdo, his mercy, his loving kindness. Chesed, the root, love, loving mercy. Chesed, Chasdo, here, his mercy, his loving kindness, his mercy endure forever. The Hebrew order is for forever, his mercy. So in the translations, it's somewhat turned around that for his mercy endureth forever, but the Hebrew brings out the word order of for forever his mercy. Ki LeOlam Chasdo. The opening, Hodu. Oh, give thanks, y'all. LaYahweh, to he who be, Ki Tov, for he is good, for good. The Hebrew is Ki, for good. Hodu, LaYahweh, Ki Tov. Oh, y'all, give thanks to he who be, to Jehovah, Ki Tov, for good. Ki LeOlam Chasdo, for forever his mercy, his loving kindness. The opening verse here is identical with the opening of Psalm CVI, Psalm 106, Psalm CVII, Psalm 107, and Psalm CXVII, Psalm 118. Kabarim. So we have the same opening right here. Hodu LaYahweh Ki Tov Ki LeOlam Chasdo. Then the bait, the second verse. Hodu. Oh, give thanks, y'all. LeElohei Ha-Elohim. Oh, y'all, give thanks. Hodu. To the God of gods, the translator translates. LeElohei, to the Elohim. Ha-Elohim, to the Elohim of Elohim. LeElohei Ha-Elohim, to the Elohim of the Holy Trinity, the true Trinity. Ha-Elohim. Hodu. LeElohei Ha-Elohim, pointing to the Father. Hodu le'Elohei ha'Elohim ki le'olam chasdo, for forever to the world without end, for the eternity. Ki le'olam chasdo, his mercy forever, forever. Then the Gamel, the third verse, the Abu B, right, the Aleph Beit to Gimel. Here the third verse, Hodu La Adonai Hadoni. Give thanks, y'all. La Adonai to the Adonai, the Adonai of Ha-Adoni, of the Adoni, of the Adonis, to the Lord of Lords, here referring to Habain, to the Son. So in the first, speaking of the Father, L'Elohei Ha-Elohim, to the Elohim of Elohim, the Elohim of the Hebrew Trinity, the Holy Trinity. Here, Hodu La Adonai Ha-Adoni, speaking to the Son and of the Son. Adonai, the Adoni of the Adonim. Why? Ki le'olam, for forever chasdo, forever is his mercy, forever is his loving kindness. Now the phrase is L'Elohei ha'Elohim, or Elohei ha'Elohim, the Elohim of Elohim, and Adonai ha'Adonim, the God of gods and Lord of lords. This is taken from Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 17. Some say this may mean nothing more than the supreme. This is to say the supreme Elohim, the supreme Adonai, Adonai, like the phrase heaven of heavens. Heaven of heavens also refers to the highest heaven, or the supreme heaven is the heaven of heavens. The supreme Elohim is the Elohei Ha-Elohim. The supreme Adonai, Adonai, is the Adonai Ha-Adonim. So here, just a groundation, opening here of today's Psalm, the Hallel HaGadol, the great Hallel, the great praise, the great Elilta, exaltation, praise, giving thanks and praise. Hodu la Yahuwah ki le'olam chasdo.
They cannot change. I said the leopard cannot change his back. Cannot change his back.
የሚያይንን አየነው፣ የሰማንን አወቅነው፣ የዳሰሰንን አገኘነው፣ የአብርሃምን አምላክ የሚያየንን ጌታ ኤልሮኢምን 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 ኤልሮኢምን
Psalm 136. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks unto the God of gods, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endureth forever. To him who alone doeth great wonders, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that by wisdom made the heavens, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that stretched out the earth above the waters, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that made great lights, for his mercy endureth forever. The sun to rule by day, for his mercy endureth forever. The moon and stars to rule by night, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that smote Egypt in their firstborn, for his mercy endureth forever. And brought out Israel from among them, for his mercy endureth forever. With a strong hand and with a stretched out arm, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which divided the Red Sea into parts, for his mercy endureth forever, and made Israel to pass through the midst of it, for his mercy endureth forever. But overthrew Pharaoh and his host in the Red Sea, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which led his people through the wilderness, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which smote great kings, for his mercy endureth forever, and slew famous kings, for his mercy endureth forever. Sihon, king of the Amorites, for his mercy endureth forever. And Og, the king of Bashan, for his mercy endureth forever. And gave their land for an heritage, for his mercy endureth forever. Even an heritage unto Israel his servant, for his mercy endureth forever. Who remembered us in our low estate, for his mercy endureth forever. And hath redeemed us from our enemies, for his mercy endureth forever. Who giveth food to all flesh, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks unto the God of heaven, for his mercy endureth forever, 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 forever.
Pull up this, something. And them style are 19, something.
For my next number, I'd like to return to the classics.
מזמור קל"ו. הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו. הודו לאלוהי האלוהים, כי לעולם חסדו. הודו לאדוני האדונים, כי לעולם חסדו. לעושה נפלאות גדולות לבדו, כי לעולם חסדו. לעושה השמיים בתבונה, כי לעולם חסדו. לרוקע הארץ על המים, כי לעולם חסדו. לעושה אורים גדולים, כי לעולם חסדו. את השמש לממשלת ביום, כי לעולם חסדו. את הירח וכוכבים לממשלות בלילה, כי לעולם חסדו. למכה מצרים בבחוריהם, כי לעולם חסדו. ויוצא ישראל מתוכם, כי לעולם חסדו. ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה, כי לעולם חסדו. לגוזר ים סוף לגזרים, כי לעולם חסדו. והעביר ישראל בתוכו, כי לעולם חסדו. וניער פרעה וחילו וים סוף, כי לעולם חסדו. למוליך עמו במדבר, כי לעולם חסדו. למכה מלכים גדולים, כי לעולם חסדו. ויהרוג מלכים אדירים, כי לעולם חסדו. לסיחון מלך האמורי, כי לעולם חסדו. ולעוג מלך הבשן, כי לעולם חסדו. ונתן ארצם לנחלה, כי לעולם חסדו. נחלה לישראל עבדו, כי לעולם חסדו. שבשפלנו זכר לנו, כי לעולם חסדו. ויפרקנו מצרנו, כי לעולם חסדו. נותן לחם לכל בשר, כי לעולם חסדו. הודו לאל השמיים, כי לעולם חסדו.
Psalm 136. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks unto the God of gods, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endureth forever. To him who alone doeth great wonders, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that by wisdom made the heavens, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that stretched out the earth above the waters, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that made great lights, for his mercy endureth forever. The sun to rule by day, for his mercy endureth forever. The moon and stars to rule by night, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that smote Egypt in their firstborn, for his mercy endureth forever. And brought out Israel from among them, for his mercy endureth forever. With a strong hand and with a stretched out arm, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which divided the Red Sea into parts, for his mercy endureth forever, and made Israel to pass through the midst of it, for his mercy endureth forever. But overthrew Pharaoh and his host in the Red Sea, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which led his people through the wilderness, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which smote great kings, for his mercy endureth forever, and slew famous kings, for his mercy endureth forever. Sihon, king of the Amorites, for his mercy endureth forever. And Og, the king of Bashan, for his mercy endureth forever. And gave their land for an heritage, for his mercy endureth forever. Even an heritage unto Israel his servant, for his mercy endureth forever. Who remembered us in our low estate, for his mercy endureth forever. And hath redeemed us from our enemies, for his mercy endureth forever. Who giveth food to all flesh, for his mercy endureth forever. O give thanks unto the God of heaven, for his mercy endureth forever, 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 forever.
So people still searching for this truth here, which this reggae music, bring across to them, and the only purpose it serves is to tell the people about Rastafari. That every house, His Majesty must be united. Someone believes that only this house right and that one wrong and that one wrong and all the rest wrong. Well, I know that God never make a mistake. So if him have the 12 tribe, and him have the Naya Bingi, him have the Ethiopian Orthodox, and him have the RMA, and him have this, there must be a man somewhere we can bring all of this thing together.
Okay. Yeah. A little bit delay here on the board. Juggling. Yeah.
What am I talking about, sir? Watch out.
Okay.
What am I saying?
Here, today's song is more Kof Lamed Wow. Kof Lamed Wow. Some say Kof Lamed Vav. I say ancient painting Kof Lamed Wow. Here, today's Psalm 136. Psalm 136 means more Kof Lamed Wow. Psalm CXXXVI. You hear today's song. You hear Shema Israel Midrash study. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good, for His mercy endureth forever. For His mercy endureth for I. Hodu la Yahuwah ki tov ki alef olam chasdo. Oh, give thanks, y'all. Hodu, give Toda, Toda, thanks. Hodu, imperative speaking to many, speaking to y'all, you all. Hodu la Yahuwah ki tov. Oh, give thanks to He who be, ki tov, for good. Often translated as for He is good. Hebraically, for good. Ki tov. Ki alef olam chasdo. For His mercy, chasdo, His chesed, the chesed, His loving kindness, chesed, chasdo, His mercy endureth forever. For I, ki alef olam chasdo. Forever, ki alef olam chasdo. His mercy, His loving kindness. So here, opening verse, Alei verse of Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow. Hodu la Yahuwah ki tov ki le'olam chasdo. Rav Yehoshua ben Lewi, Joshua ben Levi taught, give thanks la Yahuwah to Jehovah, to He who be, who makes a man pay for his sins out of his property. A rich man pays with his ox, a poor man with his land, an orphan with his egg, a widow with her hand. Here, Midrash on Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow. Hodu la Yahuwah ki tov ki le'olam chasdo. Rav Yehoshua ben Lewi, he taught that give thanks. Here's the opening verse. Hodu la Yahuwah, give thanks to Jehovah, who makes a man pay for his sins, his chetiyat, his sins out of his property. A rich man pays with his ox, a poor man with his land, an orphan with his egg, a widow with her hand. Rav Yehoshua ben Levi, Joshua ben Levi, he said further, with reference to whom is His mercy endureth forever. With reference to who is Ki Le'olam Chasdo. Repeated 26 times in this Mizmor, in this psalm, in this chant, this intonation, this Isis, with reference to the 26 generations that Elohim created in His world. Generations to that He did not give Ha-Torah. He did not give the law, the directions, instructions, the teaching of His majesty, Ha-Torah, but that in His mercy, Chasdo, His chesed, He sustained. And here Midrash notes the 26 generations connected with the 26 times the refrain to today's song, Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow, the refrain, Ki Le'olam Chasdo, for His mercy endure forever, the 26 times, the 26 generations from Adam to Moshe, from Adam to Moses, prior to the revelation of Ha-Torah, prior to the revelation of the Torah, had no merit of their own and were sustained solely and only because of Ha-Elohim's mercy, because of the true good, the true God's chesed, because of Chasdo. Thus, Ki Le'olam Chasdo, for his mercy endureth forever, for ever. Why is this psalm called the Great Hallel? Why is this psalm called Hallel HaGadol, the Great Hallel? Here, Midrash note, the Great Hallel, Hallel HaGadol, the great praise, the great psalm of praise, of thanks and praise, the great psalm of praise, the Hallel HaGadol, the great Elilta, the great the Elilta exaltation, Hallel HaGadol. Rav Yochanan explained, because this psalm, this Mizmor, says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the Holy One, the Sanctified One, the Set Apart One, the Isla One, Baruch Hu, blessed be He, sits in the highest heaven of the universe, the universe, and apportions food to every creature. And here, a Midrash note, He giveth food to all flesh. Oh, give thanks to the God of heaven. Here, pointing to verses 25 to 26 of today's Psalm, Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow, verses 25 and 26. Notain lechem likol basar kia leolam chasdo. Who, he who be, who he be, Yahuwah Jehovah, who giveth food to all flesh. Yahuwah, he who be, who he be, Notain, who giveth lechem, food or bread, lechem, likol basar, likol for all, kol basar for all flesh, kia leolam chasdo, forever his mercy, for his mercy endureth forever. Verse 26. Hodu le'el hashamayim, kia leolam chasdo. Oh, give thanks, y'all. Hodu, give thanks, y'all, to the El, true good, true God, the Almighty, the Almighty, Le'el Hashemayim, to the El of the heavens, Le'el Hashemayim, Hodu Le'el Hashemayim, Ki Le'olam Chasdo, for his mercy endureth forever, forever. Where does the great Hallel begin? Where does the Hallel HaGadol begin? Rav Judah said, it begins with, oh, give thanks to Jehovah. Here, pointing to Psalm 136, the first verse, Hebrew. Hodu la Yahuwah, keep, oh, Hodu, give thanks, y'all, to Jehovah, to He who be, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, Baruch Hashem, keep, oh, for good, for He is good. And Rav Judah said, it goes up to by the rivers of Babylon. The next psalm, Psalm 137, Hebraically the first verse. Al Naherot Babel, by the rivers of Babylon, beginning with Hodu la Yahuwah, keep, oh, to Al Naherot Babel, by the rivers of Babylon. Al Naherot Babel. But Rav Yochanan maintains it begins with a song of ascent. And here, Midrash note, the psalm beginning with Psalm 120 with Mizmor Kof Kaf, Psalm 120, bear that superscription, bear the superscription, Shir HaMa'elot, Shir HaMa'alot, Shir HaMa'elot, a song of ascent, a song of degrees. Hence, it begins with Psalm 120, the Shir HaMa'elot, song of ascent, song of degrees, song of going up of the Aliyot, Shir HaMa'elot, and goes up to by the rivers of Babylon, Al Naherot Babel, Psalm 137, first verse. And Rav Aha said, it begins with, for the Lord has chosen Jacob, Yaakov, to himself. Here, Rav Aha pointing to Psalm 135, the fourth verse, Hebraically. Ki Yaakov Bahar Lau Yah, for Jah, for he who be, hath chosen Jacob, Yaakov, to himself, for himself. Ki Yaakov Bahar Lau Yah, and goes up to Al-Nahar Babel, by the rivers of Babylon. Psalm 137, first verse. To him who alone doeth wonders. Here today's psalm is Mordechai Lamed. Wow, here the Dalet verse, the fourth verse. Le ofeh niflaota gedolota levado. To him who alone, levado, levado, who alone doeth great wonders. Le ofeh niflaota gedolota levado. Why alone? Why levado? Why levado? Why alone? It is conceivable, is it conceivable that anyone else would be helping him to do great wonders? Alone, levado, levado, levado. Alone, it implies, however, that Ha-Elohim, the true God alone, knows what wonders he does. For example, a man is laying on his bed, and on the ground before him there's a snake. As the man is about to get up from his bed, the snake is startled away. Yet the man has not the slightest knowledge of what wonders Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, has just done for him. And who knows? Hakadosh Levado, the Holy One alone, Baruch Hu, blessed be He. Likewise, the psalmist says, according to Psalm 40, according to Psalm 40, verse 6, where it reads, many, O Lord my God, are thy wonderful works that thou hast done, and thy thoughts that are to us words, to I and I words, toward I and I. They cannot be reckoned up in order to thee, to the I. Rabot asita ata Yahweh Elohai, nifaloteka ua machshavoteka elein, ein roka eleka, Akita wa dabera atmua mia saper. Did you hear the full verse from Mizmor name? Psalm 40, Mizmor name. Psalm XL, hear the wow verse. Hear the sixth verse that reads, many things hast thou done. Yahweh Elohai, he who be, we be. Elohai, Hailai, my source, my strength, my power, my almighty. Even thy wondrous works and thy thoughts toward us, toward I and I. There is none to be compared to thee, to thee, I. Rabota osita, ata, Yahweh Elohai, nifloteka, uamachshavoteka, eleim, ein roka eleka. That is to say, I cannot reckon up the praise, the idols of thee, of the I, and am not competent to declare thy wonderful works, thy wonderful works. Here. Agida, why dabera? Agida, why dabera? If I would declare and speak of them, Agida, declare, why dabera, and speak of them, they are more than can be told. Atzmu, miya saper, atzmu, they're more misaper, that can be told, that can be reckoned. And here, Midrash note refers us to the Midrash on Psalm 106, the first perek, the first section. And here in Mizmor Kof, wow, Psalm 106, Psalm CVI, here is a connected theme. Why alone? Levado. Is it conceivable that anyone else would be helping him do wondrous works? Levado, alone, means that Ha'el, the true God alone, knows how many wondrous works he does every day. Hence, David said, here pointing again to Psalm 40 and 6, many Yahweh Elohai, Jehovah Elohai, Hailai, are thy wonderful works that thou hast done, and thy thoughts that are to us words. And of the words, they cannot be reckoned up in order to thee, to the eye. They cannot he reckons up in order. Rav Aha said, we can number neither thy wonderful works that thou thus doest, nor thy thoughts, nor can his glory be precisely reckoned. Consider an analogy of two men, one strong and the other weak. Is it possible for the weak man to recount the glorious deeds of the strong one? No, for he can have no understanding, no overstanding of the glorious deeds of the strong man. But the strong man knows his own strength, and he can recount the glorious deeds of another strong man. Therefore, David asked, who can utter the mighty acts of the Lord? And answered, he who can show forth all his praise. Here, once again, pointing to the opening verse of Psalm 106 here. Who can express the mighty acts of the Lord of Jehovah? Mi, Yimalel, Giborot, Yahweh, or make all his praise to be heard? Yashani'a, Kola, Tehilato, Le'ofe, Niflota, Gedolota, Levado, to him who alone, Levado, Levado, who alone doeth great wonders. Le'ofe, Niflota, Gedolot, Levado, Ki Le'olam Hasido. Rav Eliazar taught, even the beneficiary of the miracle, is not aware of the miracle done for him. For it is said, blessed be the Lord God, who alone doeth wondrous things, Here, Psalm 72, Hebraically, verse 18, Psalm 72 and 18. Baruch Yahuwah Elohim, Elohei Yisrael, Osei Niflaot Levado. Blessed be he who be Elohim, the Elohim of Yisrael. Baruch Yahuwah Elohim, Elohei Yisrael, who only doeth wondrous things, who alone Levado, who alone doeth wondrous things. Osei Niflaot Levado. Baruchi Yehovah Elohim Elohei Yisrael Osei Niflaot Levado. Rav Joseph taught in saying, O Lord, I will praise thee because thou wast angry with me. Here, Isaiah chapter 12, verse 1. Where amalta bayom hahu, Odekai Yehovah ki anafta bi. Yashov apeka uate nachmeini. Full of verse. And in that day thou shalt say, Where amarta, Bayom Hahu. I will give thanks to thee, O Jehovah, O he who be thee, O Deka, Yahuwah, for though thou wast angry with me, Ki anafta be, thine anger is turned away, Yashov Abdeka, and thou the eye comfortest me, Uatir Nachemeni. Here, Rav Yosef taught and saying, O Jehovah, I will praise thee because thou wast angry. Thou wast angry with me. O Dekai Yahuwah, Ki anafta be. Of what is scripture speaking? Of two men who were about to travel somewhere on business, but a thorn got into the foot of one of the men and kept him from traveling. Whereupon he upbraided Ha'el, Elohim, to God, and reproached him. After a while, however, he heard that the ship of his companion had sunk in the sea. Whereupon he praised Ha'el, Elohim, and lauded him. Hence, it is said, O Lord, O Jehovah, I will praise thee, because thou wast angry with me. Thine anger is turned away, and thou comfortest me. Thou comfortest I. O Deka, Yahuwah, Ki anafta bi, Yashov Apeka, Uatir Nachemeni. To him that stretches out the earth above the waters. Here today, Psalm Mizmor Kof Lamed. Wow. To him that stretched out the earth above the waters. Le roka haretz al hamayim. To him that spread forth the earth. Le roka haretz. Above the waters. Al hamayim. Le-roka haaretz al hamayim. Our masters taught 3 liquids, water, wine, and milk, can be declared forbidden by the law of Gilui, the law forbidding the use of liquids that have been left uncovered. And here the Midrash note to Terumot 8 and 4. Terumot 8 and 4. Whence? From where? Whence do we know that water can be declared forbidden? Because it is said of water, to him that stretched the earth above the waters. Le roka haaretz al hamayim. To him that stretched the earth above the waters. Whence? From where do we know that milk can be declared forbidden? Because it is said even in Shoftim and Judges chapter 4 verse 19, Jael, open a bottle of milk. Jael opened a bottle of milk. When? From where do we know that wine can be declared forbidden? Because it is said even in Jeremiah 13 and 12, every bottle is filled with wine. And here the Midrash, Ha'el, the true good, the true God, stretched out the earth above the water, so as to cover the water. Jael had to open the bottle, in that she kept the milk covered. And wine is kept in narrow-necked bottles, so as to keep the wine covered. It is taught that Rav Jose said, alas, for the people that see and do not know what they see, that stand and do not know what they stand upon the earth. What does it stand upon? What does it stand upon? Upon the pillars, as it is said even in Job chapter 9 verse 6. God shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble. Hamargiz eretza mima komaha, where amudeha yita palatun, who shaketh the earth, Hamargiz eretz, out of her place, from her place, mima komaha, and the pillars thereof tremble. Where amudeha, and her pillars, where amudeha yita palatun, and the pillars upon the waters. For it is said, even here in today's Psalm, Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow, Psalm 136, here at the Wow, at the 6th verse, Le Roka Haaretz Allah Hamayim. For here, it is said to him that stretched out the earth above the waters. And Hamayim, the waters, above the mountains. For it is said, even in the 104th Psalm, the 6th verse, the waters stand above the mountains. Al Harima Ya'amdu Mayim, the waters stood above the mountains. Al Harim Ya'amdu Mayim, the waters stood above the mountains. And Harim and the mountains above the wind. For it is said even in Amos 4 and 13, for lo, for look, he that formeth the mountain and created the wind. Ki yahine yotzer harim u'aborei ruach. For lo, for look, ki hine, for look, see, here it is. Ki hine yotzer harim, he who formeth the mountain, yotzer harim, and he who created the wind, u'borei ruach. Ki hine yotzer harim u'borei ruach. And here, Midrash notes, the juxtaposition of the mountains and the wind in this verse is taken as evidence that the mountains stand above the wind. And Ruach and the wind above the storm. For it is said, even in the 148th Psalm, Hebrews 8th verse, wind and storm fulfilling his word. Ruach se'ara osa devaro. Stormy wind, Ruach se'ara, fulfilling his word. Osa devaro. Ruach se'ara osa devaro. And the storm, Ruach se'ara, and the storm hangs above the arms of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, arms of the Holy One, blessed be He. For it is said, even in Deuteronomy 33, verse 27, and underneath are the everlasting arms, and underneath are the everlasting arms. Me'ona elhek edem, u'amiyatachata zero'ota olam. The eternal God is a dwelling place. Me'ona Elohei Edem. And underneath are the everlasting arms. U'amitahata zero'ota olam. Me'ona Elohei Edem. U'amitahata zero'ota olam. And here, Midrash, pointing to the Midrash, study on Psalm 104, the 8th section, the 8th Heret. The 8th section, the 8th Heret. The sages say that the earth stands upon 12 pillars. For it is said, even in Deuteronomy 32, verse 8, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the tribes of the children of Israel. When the Most High Elyon gave to the nations, the nationalities, the Gentiles, international community, their inheritance, when he separated the children of men, the sons of Adam, he set the borders of the people, according to the number of the children, the sons of Israel. Some say that the earthly plane, stands upon 7 pillars. For as it is said in Mishle Shlomo, in the Proverbs, the Mashal of Shlomo Hamelech of King Solomon, wisdom hath builded her house. She hath hewn out her 7 pillars. Chakmota ban netaha betaha chatzava amudeha shib'ah. Wisdom chakmot hath builded her house. Chakmot ban netaha betaha. She hath hewn out her 7 pillars. Chatzava amudeha shib'ah. But Rav Eleazar ben Shamu'a maintains that the earthly plane, stands upon one pillar, whose name is the righteous. For it is said, even in the Mashal, Mishle Shlomo, and Proverbs 10, verse 25, but the righteous is the foundation of the earth, with Adika Yisod Olam. But the righteous is an everlasting foundation, with Adika Yisod Olam. Or it may be interpreted as, but the righteous one, with Adik, is the foundation of the world. Yisod Olam. With Adika Yisod Olam, or maybe translated as, and the righteous one, the Adik Yisod, the foundation, Olam, forever, foundation of the world, everlasting foundation, with Adik Yisod Olam. To him that smote Egypt with their firstborn, here, say Psalm 136, the 10th verse. To him that smote Egypt with their firstborn, Lemakeh Mitzrayim Abia Bekorehem. To him that smote Egypt, Lemakeh Mitzrayim, in their firstborn, Bia Bekorehem, as he let loose upon Mitzrayim, upon Egypt, the plague of the firstborn, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be he, said, at midnight every firstborn shall die. The firstborn of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, of Mitzrayim, of Kemet, came in and said to their fathers, quote, all things that Moshe promised, he has brought upon us. And so, if you wish us to remain alive, go to, fetch forth the Hebrews out of our midst. For if you do not fetch them forth, we shall die. The fathers replied, saying, quote, even if all the Mitzrayim, all the Egyptians should die, the Hebrews shall not go hence, shall not go from here. What did the firstborn do then? All the firstborn went into Paro, to Pharaoh, the great house, and cried out to Paro, saying, we beseech thee, O Paro, O Pharaoh, fetch forth his people, on whose account evil will come upon us, and upon thee also. But Pharaoh said to his servants, go to and beat these persons until they are humpbacked. What did the firstborn do then? They went out at once, and each one of them took his sword and slew his father. For it is said, to him that smote Egypt with their firstborn, Scripture does not say here, quote, to him that smote the firstborn of Egypt. Scripture does not say this here. Does not say to him that smote the firstborn of Egypt, but says to him that smote Mitzrayim, Egypt, with their firstborn. And the firstborn of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, slew 60 myriads of their fathers, of their patriarchs. Rab Abin said in the name of Rab Yehuda ben Apazi, Bethiah, the daughter of Paro, of Pharaoh, was his firstborn. But because Moses' prayer on her behalf, she escaped death. Hebraically, Bethia, historically, Hatshepsut. She escaped death as I know from the verse, even the verse in the Mashal, the Proverbs, Mishle Shlomo, Proverbs 31 and 18. Her candle goeth not out by night. Lo ikbeh balayil niraha. Her lamp, niraha, her lamp goeth not out by night. Lo ikbeh balayil niraha. Balayil. The word night being spelled layil. Layil. Here in the Mishle Shlomo, Proverbs of Solomon, Proverbs 31:18. Second part of the verse, Lo yikbeh balayil niraha. Here the word night, layil, is spelled here. As also in the verse from Shemot, the verse from Exodus chapter 12, verse 42, where it reads, it was a night, layil, of watching to Jehovah, to he who be. So we got two midrash notes right here. The word night is generally Hebraically spelled layla. Here we have it spelled layil, layil instead of layla. So here, the first of the two notes, the word night is generally spelled Hebraically as layla, but here as layil. Second midrash note here connected with the Shemot, the fact that layil, this spelling is also found in Exodus chapter 12, verse 42, where it reads, it was a night, it was a layil of watching to Yahweh, to Jehovah. The scriptural proof for the tradition that Bethia escaped death on the night of the plague of the firstborn seems to run as follows. Bethia was one of 22 women whose virtues matched the virtues of, quote, the woman of valor, or the Eshet Chayil, the virtuous woman, the woman of power, the strong Hebraic woman, the Eshet, the Oset Chayil, the woman of valor, described in Proverbs chapter 31. Accordingly, a reference to Bethia may properly be sought in this chapter. This reference, it is believed, occurs in the words, her candle goeth not out by night. Lo yikbeh balayil niraha. Her lamp goeth not out by night. Lo yikbeh balayil niraha. By verbal analogy, this night is identified with the night of watching to Yahweh, the night of watching to Jehovah. Here, Shemot, Exodus chapter 12, first part of verse 42. Layil, Shia Mori Mahula Yahweh. It was a Layil, Shia Mori Mahu La Yahweh. It was a night of watching to he who be, Hakadosh Baruch Hashem, when the firstborn of Mitzrayim were smitten, were hit. And on this Layil, this night, therefore the candle, the lamp of Bethia's life was not put out.
Dreadlocks up in all the streets.
Ligozer Yam Sufa Ligazarim. To him who divided the Red Sea, the Yam Suf, the Etera Bahir, the Eritrean Sea, the Sea of Reeds, into parts. Ligozer Yam Sufa Ligazarim. To him who divided the Red Sea, the Yam Suf, in sunder. Here, today's Psalm. Mizmor Kof Lamed Wow, Psalm 136, here, the 13th verse. At the Yam Suf, at the Red Sea, the Etera Bahir, the Eritrean Sea, 10 miracles were wrought, did for our fathers, for our patriarchs. Now here, Midrash, note the commentator here in the Midrash goes on to enumerate 11 miracles, 11 miracles. Ani le Hosir. At the Red Sea, 10 miracles were wrought for our patriarchs, our fathers. Firstly, the waters of the Yam Suf, Et Rabahir, were pierced through and were made into a kind of tunnel. As it is said even in Habakkuk, in Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 14, thou, the eye, has pierced through for the sake of his tribes. Thou, the eye, male, has pierced through for the sake of his tribes. Here. The word mat'al may either mean his rods or his tribes. Nakata be matayo, rosha pe razayo, pe razo. Thou, in usual translations, thou hast stricken through with his own rods the head of his rulers. First part, thou hast stricken through with his own rods. Here we have, thou hast pierced through for the sake of his own tribes. Nakata be matayo, or thou hast stricken through with his own rod. Here, the Hebrew word mat'al, may either mean his rods, matayo, or his tribes, matayo. Nakata be matayo, thou hast stricken through with his own rods, or here in the Midrash from Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 14, thou hast pierced through for the sake of his own tribes. Nakavta be matayo. Secondarily, the Yam Suf, the Red Sea, was divided in two, as is said even in Shemot, Exodus chapter 14, verse 16. Lift up thy rod and stretch out thy hand over the sea and divide it. Thirdly, it was turned into dry land, as is said even in Shemot in Exodus chapter 15, verse 19. The Bnei Yisrael, the sons, the children of Israel, went on dry land in the midst of the sea. Fourthly, it was changed into a kind of clay, as is said even in Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 15. Thou hast trodden the sea with thy horses, the clay of mighty waters. Fifth, the surface of the seaway was broken up, as is said even in Psalm 74, Hebraically the 13th verse. Thou didst break the sea in pieces by thy strength, Ata porarta be'azuka yam, thou didst break the sea in pieces by thy strength, Ata porarta be'azuka yam, be'uzeka yam. And the sixth of the miracles, the waters were turned into rocks, as is said, thou didst shatter the heads of the sea monsters upon the waters. Shibarta Rashea Tanim Al Hamayim, thou didst shatter the heads of the sea monsters. Shibarta Rashe Tanim, in the waters, Al Hamayim. The seventh, the waters were divided into several paths, as is said, to him who divided the Yam Suf, the Red Sea, into parts. Legozir Yam Sufa Ligazarim. To him who divided the Red Sea, the Yam Suf, into parts, in thunder. Here, the eighth, the waters were gathered together in masses, as is said even in Shemot in Exodus 15 and 8. And with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were gathered together. The ninth, the waters were forced upright into a sort of heap, as is said, the flood stood upright as a heap. The 10th, out of the salt waters, Hayil, true God, caused sweet water to gush for the Bnei Yisrael, for the sons, the children of Israel, as is said even in Psalm 78, the 16th verse. It gushed out like the rivers. Wayoreda kan harota mayi, and cause waters to run down like rivers. Wayoreda kan harota mayi, it gushed out like rivers. And here, the 11th, the depths, the deeps, the depths crystallized on both sides of the Bnei Yisrael, the sons, the children of Israel, and became a kind of glass, as is said even in Shemot in Exodus chapter 15, verse 8. The depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. To him who divided the Red Sea into parts. Here today's Psalm 136, the 13th verse. To him who divided the Red Sea into parts. Legozer Yam Sufa Ligzarim. Here. Says the Psalm, the Mizmor, and adds further on, to him who giveth food to all flesh. Here, today's Psalm, Mizmor Kof Lamed, wow, Kof Lamed, Vav. Psalm 136, at the 25th verse, it goes on to say, to him who giveth food to all flesh. Notain lechem likol basar, who giveth food to all flesh. A mortal king engaged in war is unable to give food to his soldiers. And here Midrash notes, the soldiers are obliged to live off the country. The soldiers are obliged to live off the country. So, Ani Lechozer, I repeat, a mortal king engaged in war is unable to give food to his soldiers, nor to make other provisions for them. Not so he by whose word the world came into being. For scripture says, Yahweh Shahova is Ish Milchama, is a man of war. He who made war against the Mitzrayim, against the Egyptians. And scripture adds, Yahweh Shahova Shemo, his name. He who is his name. Because at the same time he provided and gave food to all his creatures, all his creation. Hence, the two verses, to him who divided the Red Sea, Legozer Yam Sufa Ligazari, and to him who giveth food to all flesh. Notain lechem likol basar. Rav Samuel Bar Nachmani taught, it is more difficult to give the necessities of life than to give redemption. For redemption may come by way of an angel. As Yaakov, as Jacob said, even in Bereshit, in Genesis chapter 48, verse 16, the angel, Melach, who hath redeemed I from all evil. Ha-mal'aka ha-goel oti mikol ra'a. The angel who hath redeemed I from all evil. Ha-mal'aka ha-goel oti mikol ra'a. But the necessities of life must come directly from Ha'el Elohim, the true God. As Yaakov, as Jacob said, the God who fed I all my life long to this day. Here in the verse before, Bereshit in Genesis 48, verse 15. Ha Elohim, ha ro'eh, oti yameya odiya, ada hayom hazeh. The Elohim, ha Elohim. The true good, the true God, the true Trinity, the Hebrew Trinity, ha Elohim. Ha ro'eh, who has been my shepherd. Ha ro'eh, ha Elohim, ha ro'eh, oti, all my life long to this day. Meya odi ada hayom hazeh. האלוהים הרואה אותי ימי עודי עד היום הזה, המלאך הגואל אותי מכל רע. Rav Yehoshua of Siknim added, it is more difficult. It's more difficult than the dividing of the Yam Suf, the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds, Et Rabahir, the Eritrean Sea. Since the Mizmor, the Psalm, says, to him who divided the Red Sea, Gozer Yam Sufa Ligazarim, and then goes on to say, to him who giveth food to all flesh, Notain Lechem Lekol Basar, Ki Le'olam Chasdo, forever his mercy, his loving kindness, for his mercy, his loving kindness endureth forever, forever. Ki Le'olam Chasdo. And here, the Midrash on Rav Yehoshua, his comment, seems to mean that the dividing of the Yam Suf, the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds, was less difficult, since it was done only for Yisrael, for Israel, whereas the giving of food is for all flesh and for all creatures and creation. So this here is the meaning of Rav Yehoshua's point of reference right here. It's more difficult than dividing of Yam Suf, the Et Rabahir, to him who divided the Red Sea, and then goes on to say, to him who giveth food to all flesh.
Psalm 136. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks unto the God of gods, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endureth forever. To him who alone doeth great wonders, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that by wisdom made the heavens, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that stretched out the earth above the waters, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that made great lights, for his mercy endureth forever. The sun to rule by day, for his mercy endureth forever. The moon and stars to rule by night, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that smote Egypt in their firstborn, for his mercy endureth forever. And brought out Israel from among them, for his mercy endureth forever. With a strong hand and with a stretched out arm, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which divided the Red Sea into parts, for his mercy endureth forever. And made Israel to pass through the midst of it, for his mercy endureth forever. But overthrew Pharaoh and his host in the Red Sea, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which led his people through the wilderness, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which smote great kings, for his mercy endureth forever. And slew famous kings, for his mercy endureth forever. Sihon, king of the Amorites, for his mercy endureth forever. And Og, the king of Bashan, for his mercy endureth forever. And gave their land for an heritage, for his mercy endureth forever. Even an heritage unto Israel his servant, for his mercy endureth forever. Who remembered us in our lower state, for his mercy endureth forever. And hath redeemed us from our enemies, for his mercy endureth forever. Who giveth food to all flesh, for his mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks unto the God of heaven, for his mercy endureth forever, 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 forever,
מזמור קל"ו. הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו. הודו לאלוהי האלוהים, כי לעולם חסדו. הודו לאדוני האדונים, כי לעולם חסדו. לעושה נפלאות גדלות לבדו, כי לעולם חסדו. לעושה השמיים בתבונה, כי לעולם חסדו. לרוקע הארץ על המים, כי לעולם חסדו. לעושה אורים גדולים, כי לעולם חסדו. את השמש לממשלת ביום, כי לעולם חסדו. את הירח וכוכבים לממשלות בלילה, כי לעולם חסדו. למכה מצרים בבחוריהם, כי לעולם חסדו. ויוצא ישראל מתוכם, כי לעולם חסדו. ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה, כי לעולם חסדו. לגוזר ים סוף לגזרים, כי לעולם חסדו. והעביר ישראל בתוכו, כי לעולם חסדו. וניער פרעה וחילו בים סוף, כי לעולם חסדו. למוליך עמו במדבר, כי לעולם חסדו. ומכה מלכים גדולים, כי לעולם חסדו. ויהרוג מלכים אדירים, כי לעולם חסדו. לסיחון מלך האמורי, כי לעולם חסדו. ולעוג מלך הבשן, כי לעולם חסדו. ונתן ארצם לנחלה, כי לעולם חסדו. נחלה לישראל עבדו, כי לעולם חסדו. שבשפלנו זכר לנו, כי לעולם חסדו. ויפרקנו מצרנו, כי לעולם חסדו. נותן לחם לכל בשר, כי לעולם חסדו. הודו לאל השמיים, כי לעולם חסדו. חסדו, 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 חסדו.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.